Good evening and warm welcome to you. I guess we've just wrapped up AI2, right, yesterday. I couldn't attend the presentation. I was busy with something else, but Pavlos told me that the projects were actually quite spectacular. So thank you. Since we are here today, might as well, so I'm here for a specific purpose, but it'd be kind of curious to hear back from all of you how you're finding the classes so far. Can go at random, speak up.
I think we are very lucky as people to have been gotten the opportunity to learn from one of the best in the world. And to be really honest, I'm from pretty good college, but I still think that this kind of teaching is something, once in a lifetime kind of an experience. And I haven't really seen better teaching till date. I haven't seen a better teacher or a better method of teaching. So I think this method is very spectacular. And I know a lot of us can't, we might be qualified enough to probably go abroad in these kind of colleges, but because of financial or XYZ reasons, we might not have been able to go for our master's or graduation. And I think that it was made up during this experience. So thank you so much for this program.
Well, at a minimum, I think Pavlos would be very, very happy to hear that. And I think he returns your compliments. Pavlos thinks that you guys are perhaps better and smarter in many respects than the students that he teaches at Harvard. So I'm glad the feeling is mutual. And going forward, we are, you guys don't know yet, but we are slowly getting in more and more faculty from different universities who will teach future courses. So as you can also see that things are changing on the website, that's one of the reasons I'm here to talk to you. But after that rather, what do you call it, glowing feedback from Araz, I'd actually like to hear some of the other sides. Any of you who found it difficult, who would like to see perhaps changes. I know and understand that speed, content are not things that we can alter very easily, and primarily because they're calibrated to sort of median amount of learning, right? So I can understand if it's too slow for some, too fast for some, but that's kind of the nature of the design of the syllabus born of, I guess, Pavlos's and Rahul's long experience teaching. And I think right now we are oversubscribed. Oh, more than 70, 80. All right. So happy to hear a little bit more before we proceed forward. Anybody have specific feedback about the experience and any particularly glaring thing that we could do better or change?
So one thing I really noticed is that it was a lot more organized and well thought. And this is only because I was part of the summer 2019 batch. Mm-hmm. And so from that to this, it is definitely a lot more put into perspective and it's well thought of. So the courses.
You came to the one in Bangalore, the
right.
BIC live one?
Yep.
Oh, you were there. Okay. I don't remember you, unfortunately.
That's all right. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more thought. It's well thought and put into a certain way where we can actually put in some hands-on experience, and you guys monitor that as well. And we grasp the content a lot better as compared to what we did during that stage.
That was also very fast and intense. You went through almost the same amount of material in 10 days, and this was over,
that's right.
3 months almost. So big difference there, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Anyone else? Hey, Olga, we've been seeing you for a long time. What do you think? And you're from TU Berlin, right?
No, from TU Munich, actually.
Okay.
Yes, so far I have only a positive feedback. Mm-hmm. I'm really enjoying, and I think I got exactly what I needed. And yeah, I hope I will hear more about something like research opportunities that was announced, because I'm interested in that. If you offer something in the future.
Sure, I think it's a promised land that we have not sailed to yet, but We are opening up 3 labs. One is Pavlos's, one is Achyuta's, and the other is a third professor from UCLA. He's a tenured professor, teaches graph theory, among other things. He, Pratyush, you might remember that Raghu gave a talk that one day, yeah. So we're going to have 3 labs. Pavlos, I believe, has already spoken to you guys about it. He has 2 spots that he's taking people. We'll have a few more spots for computer vision. What exactly, I don't know with Achyuta, but we'll start inviting applications for that. So that will happen with Achyuta's lab in UCLA. Raghu's also, but probably slightly later, like maybe February-ish or late January. So these are the 3 things on the horizon, and we hope to add a few more as we go forward. So yes, Olga, we'll have that for you fairly soon.
Okay, great.
Any feedback, Olga? Ajay, you already said you got what you wanted, so that's good. Ms. Pinto, how have you been doing? How have you been doing?
Good. Yeah. I don't know. I'm so sorry I joined in late. I
We
don't know.
haven't said anything yet.
Okay, great. Because the issue is that we were asked to choose between 2 tracks. I don't know if the program is now changed because I couldn't find DSE on the website. So
True.
yes, is that still happening?
Yes, it is happening. So I think we're thinking about 2 things that going forward. Couple of things we are observing, right? One is that that people are finding it hard to choose because a lot of people are beginners and don't quite know what they want. And the DSC track in particular is engineering oriented, so production engineering, right? So to create data pipelines, more or less, that's the short summary. And in some ways, the thrust of our program is more advanced AI than it is data engineering. So we thought that at least for a short time going forward, for future students, we'd take it off the menu. So that's kind of the motivation behind that. That doesn't mean that it goes away for you guys, but the amount and amount of interest and number of people interested decides whether or in what format we end up offering it. So far what we've heard is, it's a relatively small number of people. And if that's the case, then what we will probably do is not do this like an organized, class lab lecture, but do it like a mentored small group by Rahul, right? And we'll probably adopt a slightly different format, like what is that? Your flipped classroom model, right? So we'll go much more towards the traditional sort of how something like this would be traditionally taught in at a university or similar. So kind of what would you call it? Project oriented, especially since it's engineering. So read your material, get projects, do stuff, and primarily Rahul and Rahul alone, because the number is small, will essentially guide you through all the way from the advanced course to a project. So the second half, for those who choose DSE would probably be just entirely you guys with Rahul. So let's get a quick poll. How many people are actually considering data engineering? Just to remind you those. I mean, so very different than what the advanced AI track will do. So still focus on sort of more modeling, to use a proxy. That will do. The next thing coming in AI is essentially NLP time series, generative models, and reinforcement learning, right? So which is kind of the standard toolkit for deep learning. And so I assume that anybody who's even remotely interested in AI would want to get that stuff done with. and the other branch was essentially meant to be a production engineering branch, and therefore we thought, since advanced AI is predominantly about modeling, and once you've gotten the grasp of the basics of machine learning, which you get in the next two courses coming up, which is pretty much the right background to branch off and do data engineering. So I thought anybody who's specifically interested in data engineering should do that, right? So that's kind of the summary, that we'll do data engineering in a small cohort, not in this large classroom model. And I thought I'd do a session to understand how many are really interested in data engineering, so data streaming pipelines, things like that. And based on the amount of interest, we'll probably decide class size, how many TAs, whether Rahul does it alone, we get other people, stuff like that. So I'm happy to answer questions, also get early interest.
Sir, I said you mentioned there will be reinforcement learning,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't find it anymore on the course website. Like,
Because we are stupid, so essentially now until AI 3 we've finalized the syllabus. AI 4, which is okay. Apologies. The website is changing for future cohorts, and we've been silly enough to take down the entire past website, which is your point of reference. So actually, you don't have a point of reference going forward, right? Your point of reference is probably our old brochure, and I think I can have it mailed out to you. Perhaps Priyanka can help with that if that helps restore your point of reference, right? But yeah, we will more or less. I mean, even so, I think we are changing the syllabus because we are not able to fit in the amount of material we promised to cover. So some loosening and change will happen, but we'll broadly stick to what is there, what was promised. So I'll tell you what changes in the AI track. In the AI track, we thought that we'd cover. In AI 3, it will just be about NLP, and AI 4 would be about either generative or reinforcement, and we'd have an elective to do whatever was not done, so either generative or reinforcement. Then we figured, by talking to some of you and just looking at the amount of time this whole thing is taking, that it wouldn't be practically possible for a lot of people to take the entire line plus the elective plus a project. I mean, that would take you to almost a year and a half. So we figured that we'll compress things a little bit. So that changes the structure, which means that AI4 will become dense. But then by then, people who've gotten through until then will be relatively mature students. So I think the increase in pace and density probably will not be a problem. And whatever is the residual, I suppose, can be made up through the process of interaction during the projects. So that kind of is changed, that the syllabus for 3 and 4 is compressed into 4 plus elective is compressed into 1-4. Yeah. And that I guess therefore naturally some of the scope bleeds over into the project. Is that satisfactory? I mean, clarifies what you want to know?
yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
So you said that the data science, the data engineering track is more aimed towards the production engineering side. So by that, do you mean that it has more scope in the corporate sector rather than in the research sector? Is that what it is?
No, I think data. So if you think of a commercial production pipeline for AI, right, starts
Right, yeah.
with either raw data of some kind, whether it's coming from internal systems through data streams, and something needs to happen to that data before it can be sent to a model, right?
Yeah.
unless you're doing batch mode stuff, which is then you do all the things manually. But if you have real-time data streams coming in, through either through multiple sort of internal data processes or some ETL system, then a series of things needs to be done to it automatically through a pipeline before it is sent also automatically to a model to spit out results, right? So and typically used in a variety of things, starting from recommendation engines to credit systems, whatever it is. So live models need live data pumping into it. And data engineering is everything that happens before the model, and modeling is the problem solving part of it. So the data streams into the model through systems that are built by data engineers, right? And and it is also true that the majority of quote unquote jobs in the world are in the data science universe are in data engineering, simply because it takes a lot more people to pump data into the decision-making system than to make the models. But that said, modeling is the fun part, right? Now, speaking of employment opportunities, since that's what you're asking, while data engineering is more, it's one shouldn't choose that because there are greater job opportunities. Like it's like saying, okay, I'll do literature because literature seems to be the most paying field, whereas what I really like is engineering. Like it's almost as dramatic as that, right? Like I mean, despite having multiple technical degrees, I've never written a line of commercial code in my life, right? And I don't have any regret about it. I wouldn't go do that even if that were the highest paid job. Not because I have anything against it, just I enjoy other things, right? So I make a choice based on that. Now, the kind of education that most of you are going through, I don't know if it's self-evident, most others don't. So I'm assuming that once you come out of the other end of whichever pipeline you choose, you'd be quite exceptional. And I think most, if not all of you, would be, when you're employed, would be looking at, what would you call it? Significantly compensated jobs. So I wouldn't worry too much about where there are more jobs. I don't think you're part of that pool, that's trying to make a living here.
Right. I wanted to get a more idea in what scope of research do both of them have. So like
data engineering doesn't do. I mean, data engineering isn't about research at all, right? It's about production.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are certain aspects of research that happen in production-oriented systems. But that relates to data models and the kinds of data models that give you higher throughput, high effectiveness in pumping through data, lowering processing times, being able to do more with less memory, less CPU, all of that kind of stuff, right? So I'd say that I mean, I don't know very much about it. There might be people here who know more, but I'd imagine that it's fundamentally different than the kind of stuff that you do in AI and machine learning. So if you say research, it's not. I don't think it's fair to use data engineering and research in the same sentence. Research is distinctly something that you do in the other half of it.
Just to add, like it's Akshay here. So I may be wrong, but what I've seen in industry, that what I feel like there's no escape from data engineering. Even in research side also, like if you see like Dask and all, like multiple frameworks are there which using which you can run models, like multiple models parallelly you can run. And I've seen the syllabus, like in that syllabus it was like async and then observable HQ. So some of the skills in that, like a little bit DevOps also was there. So what I feel like there's no escape from all those things. I mean, you have to learn at some point those things, and they're quite relevant to what we are doing. Algorithms and all, I mean, one can go ahead and learn online as well, but those things which require pretty much hands-on, I mean, it's tough to wrap your head around that. That's what I feel. I mean,
I agree. I agree. I just think that the question is the focus and method of learning, right? large scale production systems aren't the same as, you'll pretty much do the same things to do your modeling and stuff, because you have to get data, you have to transform data, you have to pump it into your model. So all of those unit operations have to be done. Yeah. But you don't need to build streaming systems to pump that so you don't need to do DevOps for that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
DevOps is just like as one aspect of that. What I meant to say that using Dask or other frameworks, you can run multiple models at once. Like you can have a Kubernetes cluster and all. Like I saw the syllabus and like it was pretty good. What I understood at that
yeah,
point.
so I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that since there's a choice here, right? You have to choose between one and the other. If you could do both, then you'd do both, right? Since there is a choice for those who want to do pure deep
And
learning or applied deep learning,
uh,
I think the time you'd have plenty of opportunity and time with the faculty to pick up those things during your project, right? I mean, which is what most people who are working with modeling are doing. They're not necessarily sitting and doing sort of large scale data engineering. So it's a choice. It's a matter of priority. If people are interested in data engineering, but by all means take it, right? But uh, but in I clearly come from a certain point of view of bias. I'd say that, okay, data engineering, unless you plan to have a career in data engineering, take advanced AI and pick up what you need from data engineering. We have all the resources for you to pick them up. You'll even have recorded lectures available. You'll have the exercises available. You'd have enough resources available to learn it on your own. You'll have, the environment around here is pretty helpful. So you'll get plenty of help, right?
and
And
yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
so I think the core skills won't be hard to pick up. The orientation of that part forces you to make a choice that, if you want to be in a production data environment and that's your career, then by take it. But why would you, if you're interested in advanced deep learning, why would you choose to be like the tail end of the process, or sorry, that's actually the head of the process? But why would you choose that?
The thing is, I mean, going to interview, they do expect like you have a certain amount of knowledge in that side as well. I mean, ML system design and all. I mean, you can't just go without knowing how things work and how it's productionized and all. Like in that
True, true,
interviews and all,
true.
they do ask.
Absolutely.
So and one more thing, what I felt like the whatever things Rahul is teaching, that can be applied then you can study and apply at that time itself. Algorithms and all we can study as we go. I mean, it's not like okay, like everything we are not using at same point itself. But what Rahul will be teaching in DSCY, I think, yeah. So you can have a single application of yourself and you can do end to end by that. So in that sense, I'm asking like which will be better to just to focus on that or like and study algorithms by yourself, or to focus on algorithm and just leave those aside because studying those all
I
those
think
things.
it depends on your intent, right? Like I said, if it really is a fairly strong choice. It's not a weak choice, right? If you plan to be in a production data environment as a production engineer, right, you will not be building models. There is a hierarchy there, right? You may earn the same amount of money, maybe even more money, but you won't be doing modeling for problems. You just won't be doing it as a data engineer, right? And the modeler won't be solving data engineering problems. So I think that way there are fairly orthogonal careers, even though both require the capabilities. Yeah. I mean, theoretically, you can learn anything anywhere. You can pick up algorithms. You can learn everything. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously.
but troubleshooting part in the engineering side, that is like quite difficult. It's like what I feel that can be quite difficult. I mean, you require people in that to help you.
No, sure. I don't think that's the question. The question is one of fundamental interest, right? That let's not be confused that it's a fungible choice. It's not an interchangeable choice. Yeah. Yes, you can do one after the other, one before the other, but you in making each choice, you're making a distinctive choice of path. Yeah. Does that mean that you should not learn the chops of production engineering if you are a data scientist, AI scientist, engineer? No, you should. That's helpful, right? It's helpful in talking to your production engineers. It will helpful in making whatever you want for your systems happen. So knowledge of the other side of the world helps you realize what is it that you wish to do. Similarly for the other side as well. If the data engineers know what their customers, clients, which is the downstream group, right? People who are getting the data, if they understand their job, they'll do their job better. So complementary for sure, but still distinct in the professional path that you follow. So if your path of choice is modeling, I wouldn't do data engineering. If your path of choice is engineering, I wouldn't do modeling. Then you're right. Then knowledge of these algorithms and models can be picked up on the side. That's awareness for you, and vice
You
versa.
like they expect everything, ML system design and all, like they will drill down on all aspects. And one more thing I noticed that courses like DSEY, that not everybody teaches that. I mean, you will hardly find a single course with that kind of syllabus. For algorithms and all, like you will find a plethora of courses, but for engineering side of courses, like it's very tough to find. I mean,
That is actually correct.
that was like one of the best part of, I mean, what you're offering.
Absolutely.
Professor, to just add to this discussion, so as you were mentioning, somebody's interested in modeling. So if there's a person like me who's right on college, so is it possible to get that kind of a job just starting out?
Yeah, I think one of the problems that we will hopefully solve. In fact, we are looking for volunteers. I don't know if anybody's reached out to you for. One of the things that we suck at is manpower. Don't have enough, and we'll probably reach out to you for help. But one of the great things that we can do, and probably you can help more than professionals who are hired for it, is we want to create a network of information where we call out to companies, find out what their hiring pipelines are like, right, and make that information available to both yourselves and future students, right? So it might be an interesting kind of side internship job where people who actually know, like you guys know, right, as opposed to some HR person who doesn't know squat, can cover 5, 5, 10 companies each and find out what jobs are around. But my sense is, based on what I know, and which is I think a reasonable amount, there is a caste system in, at least in India, in the jobs, right? There are high-end ML jobs, yeah, and they are, I mean, which is real ML. You'll find a lot of data science advertised, and then when you look into the requirements, you see it's data analytics. Yeah, there plenty. You'll get that any time of the day. These jobs are fewer, but not few enough not to be available. It's just that there isn't enough talent with experience. So there are way more jobs than there are qualified people to fill them, right? So the question is, are the people qualified enough? And we are hoping that by the time you're done, you will be. And especially people who are still in college, they'll still have one more year to work on a project, on research. So you'll have very strong proof points for for job seeking. So I don't see, I mean, the kind of numbers we are dealing with here, we can grow that by 50x and still not have a problem getting everybody a serious machine learning job. So, and most people out of college are not yet, they're not even in the contest, right? So if you guys are, you are like 5 steps ahead of the game.
Sid, I was slightly confused. So could you maybe repeat, what the next two courses are going to be for the students who are already enrolled?
The next two courses are the same for everybody. It's Data Science 1, now renamed Machine Learning 1, and Data Science 2, now renamed Machine Learning 2. So I don't know if you were there at the time that I was telling people that we were silly enough not to preserve a version of the older website that applies to you, but we're going to have the older catalog sent out to you, so your frame of reference remains intact. So nothing about what was, with one small exception, nothing about what was told will be done is changing. So the same two courses are being done. So Rahul's teaching both of them. Well, I think Pavlos is teaching part of the second one, which does trees and Bayesian stuff. But Rahul's almost entirely teaching the upcoming course. So.
And then the choice comes after the 2 are over.
Well, the
which you
choice
were
comes
talking about, the
after, but we are trying to figure out. So we have to do some sizing, right? How many TAs, for example, and where, and which teaching method are we going to use? So if we've got like between 5 and 10 people taking data engineering, which is reasonably the number I expect, it doesn't make sense to have this kind of classroom to do that. So we'll probably, I'm just repeating if you didn't hear all this, we're probably going to do this as a long mentored project with Rahul.
Understood.
So we'll change the structure of the class a little bit with more reading, more assignments, more things to do, less structured homeworks, so none of the usual things, right? So because data engineering is probably best learned by just doing stuff. So.
Understood. And do we have any timelines in mind by when the advanced part of the curriculum is going to start? EC or AI, any of the two?
Advanced part of what, sorry?
Advanced part of the curriculum, which month is it going to start in roughly? Do we have some
Actually,
idea?
I think we're starting to publish all the dates. I could just look it up and tell you.
It's April, as
Yeah,
Pablo
I think
said.
it's April 19th is, I don't know if both the courses are starting then, but I can quickly see and tell you that. I'm looking at my internal sheet. April 19th, AI 3 starts. And I think data science 3 probably starts sometime in early May, just 10 days after this one starts. AI 3 starts. So yeah, 3rd May is what Rahul has put here.
Sure, thanks.
So if Siddharth Padmaja here.
Yeah.
If data science course is going to be more like a mentor and mentee program, and AI will be structured as usual, is it possible to take both if it's manageable?
If you're superhuman, yeah.
No, I'm asking. And also, what is being, what is in store for capstone projects?
Don't know yet. We're still working on it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So just to give me a sense, why don't we have everyone plus one who's actively considering data engineering?
Yeah, I'm Siley here. Yeah, I'm considering taking the data engineering course. I think it'll be very useful.
I'd imagine Akshay also, right?
Yeah, that will be.
Yeah, so just in the chat window, just plus one, everyone who's seriously considering it, right? Quick, should take a second. Okay, so that's about 4, just as I thought. So yeah, so I think even if we stretch this by a large number, it will still be under 10. So you got some mentorship coming your way, if that's what you take. And if it's fewer, then you can just hang out with Rahul one-on-one. If out of the 4 of you, if it's even fewer than that, then you can schedule your own time and do your stuff. So that will be personal tutoring by Rahul Dave. That's what's coming your way. All right, so that's good to know. Let me capture a little screenshot. All right, got it. So I guess we've kind of dwelt on this matter at length. Any other questions that I can answer for people?
I am not sure if this is a question, but this is a thought I have. Being in third year of college, there's a lot of pressure regarding getting internships, and usually the companies which come in college, at least for I'm from CSE, I don't think any of them offer these kind of roles, right? ML based roles. The roles are more towards software development and all, which I'm not really interested in. So
They're just fewer. And which college are you in?
I'm in PES University, Bangalore.
Best. Okay. Yeah. So I know that Microsoft Research takes people. I know that, well, actually, quite a few people know. Even small startups take them. I think the reason why people are hesitant to take college people into ML internships is because lack of training, and these are very small groups with not much time to spend on training you. So that's the reluctance. But I think if you are reasonably well trained, like you would be after you're done here, you, uh, I think we should be able to set you up on some internship or the other.
So what's the time frame for that? Is that after AI 4 or
Well, I think as soon as you're done with the AI 3, you at least got enough jobs uh, to go to some place like, I mean, any e-commerce company, do NLP based stuff with them. So um, yeah, we can do that. I mean, if you'd let us know via Priyanka or anybody else who's particularly interested in help with corporate internships, we can. We anyway have a plan, not yet put into action, but like I was saying just a few minutes ago, that we'd like. I mean, one is of course that we want to have a database of what's available, but we have enough resources that we can work with companies to get you stuff.
Thank you.
Hey, so we have a very full room here, so fire away. Any questions? I'm happy to answer, and I'm even happier to gather feedback. Anything that you guys have to share with me.
Just
Hi, Siddharth.
Hi,
go
Sakti.
ahead, Shay.
Hey, do you want to go ahead? It's fine.
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. This is a question more or less regarding higher studies, Siddharth. And if I'm not mistaken, you're an MIT graduate, right?
Once upon a time, quarter century ago.
So one of the colleges I would love to go into is MIT as well. And I just wanted to know some advice or some guidelines that could help me sort of prepare. So that was the question that I wanted. Like, I know a lot of times.
Yeah. So I think the big US schools are getting increasingly harder to get to, right? I mean, I think awareness has grown. At my time, I was probably the only applicant from Roorkee to apply to MIT. And for no other reason that you had X number of dollars and people chose universities where they were reasonably certain to get into. So just by choosing to apply to a big school, you increased your chances of getting in dramatically, right? Because number of applicants was fewer. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. I was nowhere near the top of my class, very middling, right? But since I was the only applicant, that was that. So moral of the story: apply now. Then. But I think now these programs have become super competitive, right? And especially if you want to do core engineering, right, computer science, MIT LCS, extremely difficult to enter. Yeah, unless you have stuff like published research, or at least you take a year off, work on research with some professor. Like I'd imagine that if you worked with any one of our research groups, especially with Achyuta, who expressly wants to pursue published research, you'd have a fairly good shot at getting into one of the big schools, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one. I'll also give you some what do you call it, for some opportunities. So MIT in particular has many ways for backdoor entry. Okay. So that means that pick the easiest program that is possible for you to get into, and then it's very easy to navigate the MIT structure once you're inside. Unlike most other institutions that kind of resist your moving around in the system, MIT doesn't. So you can get in one
Okay.
way and get out another way. I mean, really, no one gives a damn there.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Which,
Hmm?
yeah. Which then brings me to the next question. Since you mentioned Achyuta, do we have any courses coming up with Achyuta there, or any research opportunities in the future
So
with
I think
Achyuta there?
Achyuta will teach, probably will end up teaching part of AI4. Both Achyuta and Raghu will probably do that. We want to start experimenting with multiple faculty in AI4, so we might have them take one module each, right? So Achyuta might teach a topic, Raghu might teach a topic, but more specifically, we want to open up our long pending plans for accepting some students for research under Achyuta.
Okay. Yep.
That happens in January. In fact, I just spoke to Achyuta about it. Like, was it last morning or the morning before? So within the last 48 hours.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Siddharth.
Anytime. Anyone else?
One question about this research opportunity. So it's not structured like a course. It will be like a separate, not like a I4 or.
No. Yeah, just extension of Achyuta's lab or any of these guys' labs. They have stuff they are doing, and you just join them. Probably as so either this will be an arm of their existing research, or probably a problem statement they might want you individually to attack it, or in a group.
Yeah. So my question is just, I think that this could be useful. Like if. So I'm now doing a PhD, so I'm not interested anymore in school positions. I'll just finish, but it's not connected to AI.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future research, I would like to move slowly towards these topics. And I thought that it would be already good to have like some publication or some research more or less in the area in order to get, let's say, postdoc positions or something. So is this the right way? What would you suggest to, let's say, if they accept me to try something in the tutor's lab? Or
so I'm not even sure that you need to go through our structure for it. I don't know if their email addresses are published, but give me until early January. I'll just check with them if they are okay with receiving, expressions of interest from you guys, and just write to them. Or you can even go look up his website and write to him. Right? Nothing's stopping you from doing that. Just introduce yourself as a student of this program, and see if he has. So he might throw you back saying that, look, we've got something structured starting, or he might, be willing, since you're a PhD student already, he might be willing to consider you separately, in parallel to the organized pipeline.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, feel free to do that. Yeah.
Hey Sid, following on the same question, the capstone project is for 12 to 16 weeks. So is this like a full-time 12 to 16 weeks?
No, same intensity. Like you'll need any project you take up, you'll need that much time to finish. So you can finish faster if you want to.
No, I am just not sure if I can finish it in 12 to 16 weeks because...
Take longer, no hurry. See,
okay,
people who are in a hurry to finish, they need some kind of time frame, right?
Right.
Yeah, so especially if you pick up something individual that doesn't have a group associated with it, so you're not obligated to finishing things on time with others, then take your time, no problem.
So it is possible to pick up projects which aren't done in groups.
Oh, totally. We could get you started on a project right away, along with. We've got something in NLP, and we're trying to work with a contracting company to figure out how can sort of contracts be structured if there are semantic entities that can be isolated in standard contracts to structure them. We're working on a recommendation engine for some e-commerce company. We are working on something for an insurance company. Then I think we're looking for other projects as well. So there are already kind of quote unquote live project opportunities that you can get staffed on and work if you have the right set of skills. We can cook one up for you. So
Yeah, that would actually be great because that was my next question. I was wondering if y'all would take suggestions for the kind of projects that we would like to work on. Because for me specifically, I would do something related to climate and not uh, anything else. I mean,
Sure.
that's what I'd be more open to. So I was wondering if it would be possible to work on a capstone project
So,
along.
okay, let's separate the capstone into two groups. There are people who are employment centric. They have particular objectives from a project, which is to prove that they can create, commercial grade production models, right? And demonstrate experience in that. Then there are others who do that in a more exploratory long-term fashion, right? Where you have a slightly longer term goal. So then you don't have to be tied to our calendar or schedule at all, right? What you need is, time with, like a research guide, you need, agreed upon scope and time with the professor once in 2 weeks or once in a month to figure out where you're going. So completely open to that, like a guided project model, no problem there. So you can take as long as you want. In fact, the smartest thing for you to do is, I don't know, I mean, what your PhD plans are, but you could work something like this into your mainstream and have Rahul or Pavlos or someone else become, kind of.
Yeah, no, my PhD plans are already set in stone, so I can't deviate. But I would sort of, I will be working with really big climate models. They're on predictions and past reconstruction. So one of the things that would be interesting is to implement certain AI models, since my PhD work is going to be along those lines. Yeah, so I was just thinking if we could have a project designed in that way, because then it would also be in parallel with my PhD.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Can happen. No problem. I see, disturbing the structure for a project is not the problem. It is compliance with the structure that's the problem. So, anyone else? Reminder, I'm still open for feedback. We are re-engineering a lot of stuff, so would be happy to listen to anything that you have to say.
Siddharth, you mentioned that there are a couple of projects parallelly going on with the industry, with the other companies, right? So how do we get to know what are the projects that are going on, and how do we proceed?
You don't, because I mean, under normal circumstances, you don't, because I think
Yes.
it needs a tiny bit more experience. They're commercial projects, so they're tiny
Yes.
bit more experience to get staffed there, right?
Right.
So I think the way this works is that at some point, so clearly Pavlos knows who among you is kind of, somewhat mature. And so the way we would probably open these opportunities on the commercial projects is by invitation, right? If we felt that somebody was ready for that. Because to provide additional training to get you staffed on the project is not possible. Right? So I imagine that if you're just still finishing up AI 2, there might be still some room left before you can be staffed on a commercial project. So, but don't know for sure. I think, see, I'm not so directly engaged in the process. Most of the projects are run by Rahul, and whereas Pavlos has taken these two courses, right? So I don't think those two guys are talking about who from here can get opportunities on those projects. So, but since now you bring it up, I will bring it up with them and we'll see.
Yes. So I was just wondering if we could showcase the things that we have done and get to know the kind of work that's going on, and if it was possible to associate with
Oh,
what.
yeah, possible for sure. So let's say that I can't answer that question for you, yeah, but I will surface it with Rahul. And the bigger problem for us will actually be within all our different time constraints to invest the time into determining who's a good fit. right? So if there is something to share, which kind of establishes your case, I don't know whether that be a GitHub plus a little bit of a letter making a case, I'd do that and share it with Priyanka, and she can forward it to Rahul. So this is true for any of you, right? If you feel ready that you have on your, along with the courses and on your own, done enough work that you can actually be staffed onto an active consulting research project, then by all means write out a note and expose Rahul to your repository, and probably he can take a call if he wants to talk to you further.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, hi Siddharth. I'm Santosh here.
Hi Santosh.
Yeah, regarding the research opportunities, I would like to ask. So, is there any rigid or structured selection process, or if I'm interested in some topic in what the professor is doing, I'll directly approach him, or how is it done?
So look, uncharted territory, right? We've been threatening to do research for almost like half a year now, and clearly haven't gotten around to do it. Yeah. So the best answer I can give you right now is we are opening it up. Yeah, we'll have. You might not have been there, but we are setting up 3 labs: one under Pavlos, one Achyuta, one Raghumika. I don't think Rahul has bandwidth for additional research in addition to some of the consulting that he's doing. But let me not speak for Rahul. We might have opportunities under Rahul as well. So I think when we open those opportunities, we'll invite applications. There'll be a since considering this is not part of our program, remember that this is strictly additional, right? So I think as our students, you'll get priority, but some of these things might actually be open to student groups who are not even our students. So that's how it's going to be. And I don't think I have any more information other than that. So when the applications are announced, you will know, because you will definitely be told, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
More?
Is there a way to know like which professor is working on which field so that we can be pre-prepared to?
Well, their websites would be indicative of what they're doing, right? Raghumika is at UCLA, look him up. Achyuta is also at UCLA, look him up. Pavlos, you guys know, look him up. But Pavlos mainly works at the intersection of, astronomy and machine learning. So I'd imagine he does generative models and things like that. So I don't know, for example, whether Pavlos will only be taking students into his own research interests, or whether he's willing to also be an advisor for self-guided research. So like I said, don't know very much. I'm sorry, I can't be more enlightening than this, but by all means, all of you who have specific questions on research, look, there are general questions like, can I do research? I don't think those questions can be very easily answered even by the faculty, right? Because they don't know your interest, your maturity, your prior experience. But if there is something in particular that piques your interest, because research needs, before interest, research is knowledge, right? You can't start doing research before knowing a certain minimum. So if you're at that stage where you're already thinking about an area of research, if some problems interest you, like I said, write up a note, right? And if you've done so even prior to doing research, every professor would like to know, what have you done? Have you taken any step, right? Have you, at least done a survey of past research done on the subject? Have you tried to execute some stuff in those research papers, right? At a minimum, right? Which demonstrates your interest in research. Saying I'm interested in research isn't enough. then the prof is going to have a very hard time choosing between you and somebody else. Like, why you, why not someone else? Yeah. So I think if you have that level of demonstration of interest, I'm sure the interest can be presented to them, irrespective of what our sort of announced structures are. And I'm sure we can find either with them or even with other faculty. Like, this is just our start. So I'm hoping that we'll add more professors as we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So net, my takeaway is that looks like a bunch of you are interested in being associated with research of one kind or the other. Okay. So point noted. We'll try and make that available.
Yeah. One more question for that, Santosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, is there any so similar to AI2, there was a scholarship program, right? The top 40 was given a free course on CNN. So is there any similar thing for AI3 as well?
I think we are taking out. So when we get to AI3, things are getting a little more serious in the sense that so many other things start happening when AI3 comes up. Our program gets bigger. We will need more resources. So I think that kind of stuff we are probably not going to be able to do, right? Like, and of course, I mean, you understand we are new, so part of the reason we do things like that is more people find out about who we are, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so AI3 is kind of advanced, kind of the wrong time to get people who are unprepared into the course. So for AI3, unlikely. But if you want to know whether you can get, what do you call it, partially funded intake into the course, I'm sure you can if you're doing well in the rest of what is happening so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are all our first sort of lot. So we have tried reasonably hard to accommodate everyone and their particular needs. So shouldn't be a problem. So unless we've got anything else, I will bid you everyone a goodbye. Yeah, I know. So as always, I know I've not been in touch with you guys for a long time, like for the better part of 3 months, but I'm always accessible. Siddharth@Univ.AI. Anything you need, write to me or ask Priyanka or whoever else is talking to you, if you're talking to other people at all, to get to me. I'm happy to help. And our professors are also quite accessible, which you must have noticed. So anything in particular, go ahead, ask. Programs, scholarships, whatever it is, like I said, happy to accommodate. So those of you who aren't enrolled for the stuff afterwards, but want to take them, by all means, reach out, right? And we'll go from there. Cool. So thank you very much for making the time, and hope to be in touch with you guys again.